In today's episode, we're going to get a little meta. Welcome to the Licensure Lifeline. This is your host, Matt Lawson, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking meta analysis. Apologies for not getting a show out last week. A lot happened after the election with people wanting extra sessions with me, which, as a therapist, is something you have to be prepared for. When social slash socio-political things get kind of crazy, people are looking for a place that is safe that they can talk. And luckily, I was able to give that to a lot of the people that I work with last week. But I'm back and talking about a topic that I wouldn't say I avoid. Anything that tends to do with statistics and analysis is one of those areas that a lot of therapists, I think in general, don't necessarily like to talk about, but it actually is a really significant and important part of our jobs. Important in the respect that we need to be able to understand the information, the research, the clinical evidence-based modalities that we use. And a meta-analysis is just one of those tools in the toolbox that can be used to evaluate the research that we are given that helps us discern which is the best approach to work with an individual. So, getting right into it, meta analysis is a statistical method that combines the results of multiple studies on similar topics to get a clearer overall picture. So, instead of looking at just a single study's outcome, a meta analysis lets us see a broader trend, patterns across various studies, often improving the confidence of the results. So, for a minute, just imagine that you're looking at a bunch of studies on cognitive behavioral therapy for depression. And each study might have a different sample size, method, and result, which makes it harder to draw out a solid conclusion. Through meta analysis, you would aggregate these findings to show whether, on average, CBT is effective for treating depression. It can also reveal specific factors that might affect outcomes like age, gender, or treatment length. Especially with the way information is online these days, it's really nice to see how things can be brought together to strengthen the information that is out there about like a certain, like just say a certain modality like CBT, or different correlations that are out there. You can look at multiple studies and make what a suspected correlation is in one study make a lot more sense and carry a lot more weight when it's spread across multiple studies and you see the same results, even if the methodology is a bit different. So, how is this analysis useful for counselors? First off, meta analysis allows counselors to make informed decisions by looking at combined results of multiple studies rather than relying on a single study. This is an essential part of evidence-based practice. Um, we are, as clinicians, we practice from a place of the evidence that is used to underlie a different approach that we are using with the person. And when we're able to see that or make the decision of an approach based on the information given and the strength of that information, it helps us better serve the people that we work with. Meta-analysis also gives a clear idea of what generally works for people with individual and specific needs. You might be familiar with dialectical behavior therapy. It was actually first developed for people that had borderline personality disorder. As people researched it more and looked at its usefulness, it was kind of spread out to other issues, but you were able to see that it was really geared toward helping people with this type of personality disorder, with borderline personality disorder. And, you especially with something that's pretty acute where somebody's really, really suffering, you don't want much guesswork or you don't want to like throw darts at a board hoping that an approach is going to work. You really want to know what works best, what has been seen to work best for certain issues that people are dealing with, to help them get to a place of less suffering as quickly as possible. This is also really helpful when the people that we work with are just asking, like, how effective is this approach that we're using? You may find yourself in a situation where you've been working with a person for a while, maybe they're not having as much success as they would like, and one day they ask, like, hey, is this approach that we're using even useful for what I want to address here? And you can talk about it, you can say like how things progress, but you can also refer to like the findings from a meta-analysis, the findings from research that shows like, yeah, this is an effective way to work on addiction, to work on your body image issues, to work on your eating disorder. You definitely have to read the room on this. Some people do respond to research and numbers better than other people, but it might be very comforting for somebody to know that this approach actually works and you have the research to show them. Another thing here is a meta-analysis can show kind of the gaps where an approach may not work, um, or may lack conclusive evidence to support use for a certain area, a certain issue that a person is dealing with. An example here might be a meta-analysis on play therapy actually shows mixed results for certain age groups. And it helps that a counselor recognizes where additional research or alternative approaches may be needed. Okay, for a little further reading here, check out the Handbook of Research Synthesis. That word always trips me up. Synthesis and Meta-Analysis by Harris Cooper, Larry Hodges, and Jeffrey Valentine. I know that sounds like a page turner. I have not read this book, but it's a comprehensive guide on conducting and understanding meta-analysis. You can also check out this article if you want something a bit shorter, a guide to understanding meta-analysis. It's in Psychology Today. The article breaks down the basics of meta-analysis. There's actually also an online course through edX. They offer a research methods and statistics course there. I love like Coursera, edX, Masterclass. Like I'm one of those lifelong learner types. But you can take a lot of these classes again, kind of in like bite size. I've taken classes that have only lasted like a week. I've taken other classes that have lasted months, but to always be thinking with your therapy practice, there should be some evolution, and online learning is a great way to help yourself evolve and evolve your professional life. Let's go over some questions now. First off, which of the following best describes the purpose of a meta analysis? Is it A, to provide qualitative insight into a single case study? B, to combine the findings of multiple studies to produce an overall effect size? C, to design a new research study that tests hypothesis? Or D, to report the results of a longitudinal study over time? Answer here is B, to combine the findings of multiple studies to produce an overall effect size. A meta-analysis aggregates data from several studies to show the average effect, giving clear pictures of treatment and effectiveness. Question number 2. A counselor is reviewing a meta-analysis that shows mixed results for CBT effectiveness in children under 10. What should the counselor consider before recommending CBT to a young client? A, that CBT is ineffective for children. B, that the findings are likely due to a single study. C, that there may be limitations or mixed evidence in applying CBT in this age group. Or D, that CBT is always effective for treating children's anxiety. Answer here is C, that there may be limitations or mixed evidence in applying CBT to this age group. The explanation for this one, mixed results in a meta-analysis suggests that CBT may not be as effective for younger children, prompting counselors to evaluate alternative interventions. Question number 3. How does a meta-analysis typically address variability in methods and sample size across studies? Is it A, by excluding studies that don't match the main study's criteria? B, by averaging findings while adjusting for sample size and methodology? C, by focusing solely on studies with large sample sizes? Or D, by converting all studies into case studies? The answer here is going to be B, by averaging the findings while adjusting for sample size and methodology. Meta-analysis uses statistical techniques to account for differences in sample sizes and methods, giving a balanced view of combined studies. Question number 4. Which of the following is a limitation of meta-analysis? Is it A, it only considers qualitative data? B, it can lead to publication bias if only positive results are included? C, it is too specific to be applied to counseling practices? Or D, it requires access to original study data to be valid? Answer here is B, it can lead to publication bias if only positive results are included. Meta-analysis can be limited if they focus only on studies with positive results, which may skew the findings. I have a nice little acronym for you today to help you remember this information. Combo. Um, Funny. Combos, those little like pretzel treats with cheese in them, they're horrible for you. Do not eat them if you haven't. But they're like traditionally my road trip food. But COMBO, no S on this one, combines studies, overall effect size, method consistency, broad trends, options for treatment. All right, folks, that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for listening. As always, stay safe and keep studying.